Could we start off with a couple of questions? Is there any questions from the floor? Have we got any questions anyone would like to ask? Pamela, is there any questions? Or shall I start with a question? I'll start with a question myself. That was lovely to hear that and to hear about the facts in fiction and everything that you're part of. That's absolutely amazing. And yeah, getting involved. If you want to write. I can't agree with you more. I mean, same for music. If you want to go and play music,
yes,
get involved. And I always say to anyone that I teach, you know, you've got to get yourself involved in performances. First time, second time, or if it's, you know, something that you've been doing for years, you know, you're always getting yourself involved. It's good to see.
Ian Mortimer was once asked to give a talk.
Oh, Mike.
So paid quite a nice fee.
Yep.
Got up onto the stage and stood there and said, if you want to write, write, and got down from the stage. And it's like riding a bike. It's like anything else.
Yeah.
You have to do it.
You have to get involved, don't you? You have to be involved, and it's like we keep saying, not being afraid to get involved. And I think it's taking that first step, that initial step, into the world of the unknown, if you want to call it that, and facing what's going, you know, just taking on what's about to happen, and you know, being, I would like to say, being optimistic about it, and trying to find those opportunities, but also accept the opportunities that come along.
Yes.
It's really nice to see.
And not being knocked back when rejection, I'm afraid, is a part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
And trying not to be too knocked back, but persevering.
If you don't mind me asking, is there a particular moment or is there a particular time where you got rejected that maybe motivated you to carry on? Because I mean, I know authors like, obviously, like J.K. Rowling, very famous for
12.
being rejected a couple of times, and then doing what she's doing now.
I guess in a way, I mentioned my father's experience because somebody I know recently said, that's really hard and really nasty of the people to reject. And I said, I'm afraid it's a part of it.
Yeah. And
it's something that you just have to deal with and carry on.
Yeah.
Carry on doing it, that's all.
Totally, yeah. It has to carry on. And you know, with carrying on and things like that, that kind of leads me to the next question. It's, you know, you carried on and you came up with this book here.
Yes.
How did that all come about? How did that happen? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, my inspiration, two things. I had read Arthur Miller's The Crucible,
right,
about the Salem witch trials, and I'm also personally really keen on fairness and justice, and witchcraft has been around since BC.
Right.
The latest execution only took place in 2011, not in the UK.
Right.
But it's so very unfair because all the facts aren't given.
Yep.
And so those two things, Arthur Miller's Crucible and my passion for fairness, meant that, and I had always really enjoyed the imaginative part of the non-fiction writing that I'd done, that made me start wanting to look into things historically.
Okay. That's really interesting. That's really nice to see. And can you get hold of this book like online as well, or can you
yes,
online
Amazon
copies?
Have got it. Yes.
Can we get it on our Kindles?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, Kindle as well as the
So it's all those technology
print
buffs out there that want it on their iPad.
Yeah,
I'm one of those
indeed.
people.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
download the book and
Yeah.
read that. It's quite nice.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, somebody I know recently went on holiday and she said, tell me the name of your book, because before I go on holiday, I just download my Kindle, you know,
Yeah.
so stuff onto my Kindle. So, yeah, definitely. It's only just been published, so I've got a launch coming up and I'm going around. I live in Hertfordshire and I'm going around chatting about it.
Brilliant. Okay. And do you have anything planned after this book? Or?
I've started my second book.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's that called?
Not got a title.
Not a title yet?
Yes. No.
What's it about?
Well, it's perhaps a continuation of, and I haven't decided really yet, but of the main character's life. Her husband defrauds her in this book, and then having lost his money, he comes back.
Wow, okay.
So I'm toying with a few things, but I'm perhaps going to really look at his liking balance as I do.
Yep.
Looking at things from his point of view,
That's nice.
His upbringing. She was brought up in a very wealthy household. He was a servant with no money.
Yep.
So looking at things from his point of view, the poor in 16th century England will be quite different.
That's nice to see. I like that you're mentioning that balance, because there is always more than one side to the story.
That's right.
And it's often one of those things where you hear one side of the story, you don't give the other side a chance necessarily. Not always, I guess. Yes. And that's what you go with.
Yes.
I can remember being younger, living at home with my older brother, and it would always be the first person that goes up to my mum she would believe.
Yes.
And in fairness to my mum, I think, now, obviously, as we've got older, it's kind of those things.
You do things differently.
Yeah, my mum knew, it's like she is listening to one of us, but she is taking both sides of the story on now, and it's funny.
Yes, yeah. Well, the word gossip is interesting because from an etymological point of view, from the history of words point of view, chatter with a malicious edge, which is, I think, the way we mean it these days, actually didn't come into being until a century after this book, not until the 1700s. Shakespeare used it in 1603 to mean a group of women who got together at a birthing, because when you had a child, you invited your neighbours and friends, etc., to be there. So calling it the birth of gossip, the main character is a midwife, but also it was the birth in this book of the word gossip too.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. I didn't know that. That's really interesting to think. And obviously talking about the challenges that you've got coming on, you spoke about the new book. When would that be coming out? When would we be able to?
My publisher would really like to know that. I'm not sure yet.
Not sure.
Yes.
Okay. And how long did it take you to write this one?
Well, I work full time,
okay.
So I spent about 3 years of that little time doing the research, because it's historical and I'm really keen on getting historical facts right.
Yeah, getting the detail right is quite crucial.
Yeah, really keen on getting them right. And there's so many areas to cover. For instance, trees are mentioned just in a couple of small places.
Yep.
But I had to start researching which trees would be near a church. In the story, the trees bend, so I needed to find out which trees were flexible enough to bend, and so it's all research, which is fantastic and really interesting.
Oh, that's good. That's really, really interesting. And like with all this research and all this detail, I mean, for people that are looking to write books themselves or start to write, or even are writing now, is there any advice that you give to new authors or existing authors right now about how writing and how you've wrote your books?
Yeah, well, new authors certainly get involved with other writers. Try to join a writers' circle that has published writers as well as non-published, and fiction and non-fiction, because you may go in thinking you'd like to write some non-fiction and come away really a few weeks later thinking, well, I'd like to have a go at a book. But if you're a member of a good writers' circle, you get really good feedback from people who've been through it and who know.
Okay, that's interesting. Good. And if anyone is sort of kind of like, you know, interested in looking at that, is there any way of contacting you, or do you have a website?
I do have a website, yes, which is www.pamela-mann.com.
Oh, brilliant.
Which is actually in the book.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And,
yes.
and they can get hold of that online. Is there anywhere sort of on the high street at the moment we can get this?
Not at the moment. Waterstones are reading it.
Okay, fantastic. Oh, that'd be great.
Yes.
Waterstones.
It would be really good.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, all the best of luck. Really good luck with that. And I'm going to pick that up myself. I'm going to download that though.